The White House says a federal judge took an unprecedented action to dismiss the Justice Department's criminal cases against former FBI Director James Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James on a technicality. Joining me now to discuss these developments is Jonae Wartel, Democratic strategist and former senior advisor to the Harris-Walz campaign, and Aaron Evans, president of Winning Republican Strategies. Great to have you both with us. So the Department of Justice is planning to appeal these rulings against former FBI Director James Comey and the sitting Attorney General of New York, Letitia James. The judge said the prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan, was illegally appointed. Jonae, how do you read the judge's decision today, and will we see these cases back on the docket?
Well, first, the judge is following the law, as the Trump administration may not be familiar with following the law. But here's the reality of it. This was an invalid appointment. There's clear precedent and reason for why this appointment was invalid. And so these charges have to be dismissed. The reality is that this political witch hunt is backfiring for the Trump administration, and whether they decide to bring these charges once again is up to them. But this is a political witch hunt backfiring because they didn't do their due diligence to follow the procedures about appointing this lawyer.
Aaron, there's been a lot of discussion, to Jonae's point, about running up on the statute of limitations, particularly with the Comey case, of sort of organizational inertia inside of the Department of Justice, just moving at a slog's pace. Do you see anything coming of this, or is this the last we're going to hear of this case?
Yeah, I think that it could be the end of the case for Comey. I think that it's important to note that it was dismissed on obviously a technicality with the prosecutor and not on there not being merit for the prosecution. I think that's a very important distinction to make. But, with the statute of limitations, I think that's definitely a concern with Comey.
In another semi-legal case, perhaps pending, the Pentagon said today it's investigating the Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, who is a retired U.S. Navy captain. This all following those serious allegations of misconduct. Senator Kelly and 5 other Democratic lawmakers posted a video telling service members to disobey what they called illegal orders. The Military Code of Conduct specifies that a difference of personal philosophy doesn't allow military members to disobey orders. Jonae, was the video encouraging mass disruption to the chain of command of the military, implying that President Trump has issued illegal orders?
Well, the key word here is illegal orders. Senator Kelly is not suggesting that any lawful procedures be disregarded or not followed. He's simply following the law and encouraging both the Trump administration and those on the ground to follow lawful orders. Now, the Department of Justice opening an investigation, I think, is a dangerous precedent and should be concerning for anyone paying attention that this is now, again, a witch hunt for someone who's really standing up for law and the justice system. And I thought this was a law and order administration, but apparently that only applies if there is alignment in the political philosophy. So I think that Senator Kelly is following his conscience and following the law and taking the very necessary steps to speak out. And I think that video was one step in that direction.
Aaron, based on what happened to the president in his first term with Crossfire Hurricane and Russiagate, is he in good standing to be concerned about these actions?
I think he absolutely is in good standing. And I think that, the other thing is Senator Kelly and unless I've missed it, no other Democrat has actually been able to verbalize what exact laws are unconstitutional and are being enforced and carried out. So, I think that, from that standpoint, they like to throw out buzzwords about unconstitutional and again, we're coming out of 4 years where weaponization of the judicial system. No one has been more targeted than President Trump and his family. And then in Trump's first admin, the efforts to kind of derail the efforts. And so, I think at the end of the day, every single soldier cannot just come up with what is legal and what's not. They're not constitutional authorities. And so if every soldier is determining for themselves what's constitutional and what's not, then, we're not going to have an organized army. We're not going to have any type of defense. And so, I think it's extremely dangerous precedent that Senator Kelly is instigating. And I think he knows what he's doing as someone who served in the military.
Now, there's a new feature that's just been launched on Elon Musk's X social media platform, formerly known as Twitter. This is showing the location where an account is based. It's already showed several flaws in it, but some folks are saying it is a step in the right direction, that it's revealed several political influencer accounts are operating from outside of the United States. Whenever we have our internal political disputes, there's always bad actors, state actors, who are amplifying and trying to work against the United States. They don't really care about either side. They just care about the chaos and sowing discord inside of our country. So, Jonae, how concerning is this type of foreign influence in that it's perhaps shaping political narratives?
Well, I think accountability in the digital and technology space is incredibly important. I mean, we're only, 6-7 years removed from Russian interference in U.S. elections. So I think this should raise alarm for anyone that is seeing the seeds of foreign actors, bad actors, potentially, harvesting a plan to interfere in U.S. elections. There should be heavy monitoring and accountability so that we don't have something like what happened in 2016 happen again.
Aaron, we've done our own investigating here in different areas, and China certainly has a huge presence in this space of trying to influence different points of discussion in our country via social media. Should there be more transparency to prevent not just election-related influence, but any foreign influence from outside countries?
Absolutely. Look, we're in an era of mass tech expansion like we've never experienced in the history of the world. And we've got enemies who are using it daily to divide us from within. And when you look at some of these accounts, it's been really fascinating looking at that. You've got accounts targeting people on the right, accounts targeting people on the left. And I think this is one thing Democrats and Republicans have to step back and realize is, look, we've got enemies in China, Russia, Iran, and others who they want to destroy America. They want us to be destroyed from within, and they're creating division. And it really isn't it isn't a left and right issue. They're stoking both sides of every issue just to try to force us to hate one another and to fight, which is working really well in this country because we're ignorant enough to do it. But ultimately, we've got to wake up at what's going on. It's a massive threat, and I think this is an important first step.
Speaking of waking up, one thing that they do is they'll take the most extreme voice on the left, the most extreme voice on the right, and amplify it to give your average person the idea that this is the mainstream big voice that you should be listening to, when in fact it's fringe and not at all the case. Jonae Wartel, Aaron Evans, thanks so much for joining.